Hi everybody, Chris Stokes from Custom Fitness Personal Training Studio, and today we're talking about maintaining great form while you're using momentum. So there's a lot of different exercises that use this, but one that comes to mind is typically like the swings. That could be with a kettlebell, with a weight, with a sandbag. I'm going to use it as a sandbag today, but let's talk a little bit about what this exercise would do for you first. And so where it's going to primarily focus is on your core. Now remember that if you ask the general public what the core is, they're probably going to tell you that it's your abdominal muscles, right? So it's just what you would get in your crunches and those kinds of things, your plank, that's usually what we think of. But the core in a technical definition is actually the torso without the legs or the arms, meaning that we've got a lot of muscles, both front and back and on the sides, that need to be strengthened in order to maintain the stability of our spine, which is basically what the core does. So we're going to be talking about the core muscles today that are affected by this, and they're not your typical abdominal muscles that you would think about. Rather, they are your posterior chain or your backside muscles that would be helping hold you up. It's going to work through even down into the hamstrings, even though that's not part of your core. It's going to work up into the glutes, through your hips, through your lower back in the quadratus lumborum, also known as the QL, as well as your erector spinae groups, and you all the way up. So you're going to be getting a lot of work through that core, through the back side. Now, what benefit does that have to you? Because a lot of people think core, they think stomach, and if it's not working in my stomach, is it worth doing? Well, it absolutely is. It can help you to improve your posture. It helps to support the spine, to prevent low back pains and things like that. But in order to do that, you've actually got to do the exercise correctly. Go figure, right? So we've got to make sure that we have the right form, and especially once we start putting momentum in. So it's really dangerous sometimes to throw momentum in whenever we don't have correct form, because that leads to our body going through kind of a somewhat movement rather than the true movement, and we start to sacrifice certain areas of our body or certain joints of our body in order to allow the momentum to take place. And momentum a lot of times comes into a workout to help people go faster and those kinds of things. In here, with this exercise that I'm going to be showing you today, it actually helps you because you've got to work against momentum to reverse direction, which means that the muscles have to work just a little bit harder to not only stop and change direction, but then to move in that direction. It changes the way that your body's working. So working that posterior chain, a lot of people ignore that. We typically tend to focus on the front of the body. We work the quads, we work the abs, we work the chest, and they leave the back side of the body alone. Well, we've got to have that balance. A lot of times people experience a muscular imbalance from front to back, side to side, and that imbalance can cause muscle cramps, it can cause injury, it can cause physical fatigue and other symptoms coming just from that imbalance. So we want to make sure that the body has a proper balance front to back and side to side. So this is going to start that for us, okay? Now again, we could use a kettlebell, we could use a dumbbell. I like the sandbag just because it's going to add some mobile weight with what you're doing. The sand granules will actually move as you're moving, and so that can change that too. But you can use whatever weight that you have. And again, our premise here at Custom Fitness is to make sure that whatever you're doing, that you don't have an excuse to not do it. So the excuse of, well, I don't have that piece of equipment, I have to go to the store and buy it, doesn't come in here, because we can use just about anything for it. You could even use a milk jug if you wanted to. So again, water weight's going to be mobile, so there you go. You've got more to start and stop with. So we would start out by bending the knees, using a flat back, stomach in tight to pick up our weight. Just to reiterate that safe lifting technique, we're going to make sure that our feet are about a hip distance apart at the least, shoulder distance apart at the most. So we're not standing with a really super wide stance, but we're also not standing with our feet together, okay? And what that's going to do is provide us with the best base possible. Now we're going to go through a straight leg swing first. So we're going to grab our weight of choice. Again, this is a sandbag here, so I'm just going to grip it at the top here. And we want to remember that whatever we're doing with this, that the momentum has to be there, but that our form has to be in check. So in other words, as we come to the top of this movement, we don't want to stop and just hold this here and place it and place it. We want to rather use that momentum to allow it to swing like a pendulum back and forth. Now, the other parts that we typically have issue with on this exercise is remembering to keep a flat back to where our shoulder blades are squeezed together and our back is nice and flat all the way down, and then our stomach is in tight, okay? So that's our stabilization there. That's our engagement that we're aiming for. So you make sure the stomach's in tight, shoulder blades are squeezed, back is long and flat. What provides the movement to this exercise? Well, some would say the weight,
but it's not actually able to move on its own, right? So the arms maybe, but that doesn't provide the right push that's going to throw the body out of alignment. So what provides the movement? It's actually your hips. So we're going to use our hips to press back and to press forward, and that's going to help the sandbag get to where it needs to be, okay? So we're going to start this out down low, and that means that we've got a flat back, shoulder blades back, stomach in tight. We reach down, we're going to swing this between the legs. We're going to press the hips forward to swing it up and bring it back down. Now at the top, you'll notice that that sandbag stays straight out in front. It may swing up just a little bit as you change direction, but the arms don't go above the shoulders. So we're not trying to go over the head here. We're trying to keep it straight out in front. We're pressing those hips to the back, and then we press the hips forward, and that slings the weight forward. So that would be a straight leg lift, or straight leg swing. And as we're straight leg swinging, we're going to feel again in the hamstrings as well, but we're getting a lot of work through that upper body. So what else can we do with this? Well, if we've got some hamstring issues, or we've got some locking knee problems where they're popping back, which is another thing that we don't want to have happen, then we can easily add a squat in. So we could squat at the bottom, bring it through the legs, bring it up at the top, and back down. Now you're getting a squat involved with the momentum, so you've got the weight coming down, working the muscles, and then you're pressing up out of that squat, working more muscles. So we get a lot of good things. So there's one more progression that a lot of people like to do, and that would be into a front squat. So we do a straight leg swing into a front squat, and again, just a little different variation, something that you can kind of change up, but I definitely wouldn't do it if you're new to this weighted swing. I would make sure that it's something that you get comfortable with that swing first, figure out your form, and then go into it. So again, tight tummy, shoulder blades back. We're going to swing between the legs here. You're going to bring it up, catch the bag, drop it down to a squat. Your goal is elbows to knees. Maybe you get there, maybe you don't. Maybe you're up here. That's fine. Now we bring it back up, catch the bag, swing it through, catch the bag, squat. So it looks like this. Nice flat back the whole time. We're going to make sure that the body stays stable, the core stays in tight, and we're really focusing on that back side. So feel free to give that exercise a try in whatever form or fashion you feel best with. Again, if you're new to swings like that, then make sure that you start off with the easier versions, maybe that squat to lift, and then build into the straight leg, build into that straight leg with the squat, and see how that goes. So hope you got some great information today. Go out and try it. Feel free to let us know how that goes for you.